Hello and good morning. This is my week 3 recap, I guess, for The Artist's Way. I've been noticing that with some of the tasks, it's been hard for me to think of stuff, like think of answers. I feel like things aren't really jumping out at me or coming to me very easily as far as my answers, but I did do most of the tasks. I don't have them all written down in my book, so I don't know why that is, but one thing I did notice as I'm starting to remember what the chapter was about, I think it was about anger and how it's fuel. It was about synchronicities and to expect gifts. And I actually did experience a lot of synchronicities this past week and a lot of gifts. I work at a health food store and I work in the vitamin department, which I love. I love vitamins and nutrition and all that good stuff. And one of the perks is that we often get samples or things to take home to try of different products. And I got some protein powder, which was awesome because I'm trying to up my protein, and protein powder is expensive. So that was really great. I went to open mic, and not this past week, but the Sunday, so not 2 days ago, but the Sunday before, ended up running into a sort of an acquaintance or friend, I could say. And I just looked at my phone camera and it said 222, who hadn't been to that open mic in years, and I haven't been in at least a year, and we ended up going on the same night, and so that was great. I've been seeing angel numbers for a long time, but I feel like especially this past week it was maybe a little bit more noticeable. And just, like getting things from people giving me stuff, whether it was snacks or, it was really cool to notice that. As far as the tasks go, okay, I did my childhood room, which was plain, always had books and game system, Super Nintendo for the longest time. Favorite thing was probably the SNES, or I had a blanket that I called it my Mimi cloth, so it's probably that. Favorite thing in my bedroom now is probably our bed. I could add something in there. I didn't add something, but I could add something. Traits as a child that I liked, I don't remember how they worded it, was kindness, innocence, being imaginative, silliness, and curiosity. Accomplishments I had a hard time with. I couldn't really I was trying to think of accomplishments of me being younger. So, like younger than high school, at least. And I won a poetry contest at Barnes & Noble one year. I don't remember how old I was. I might have been in high school, but I don't remember. I might have been younger. I'm not sure. I said that. I had good grades. I always kind of had like A's and B's for the most part. But I couldn't really think of anything else, and that made me a little sad. Because then it's like, okay, am I not thinking of accomplishments because I didn't have any? Or am I not thinking of accomplishments because I don't view the things that I do as being accomplishments? You know what I mean? I'm guessing I'm guessing it's the latter. Because people will come up to me, or not just randos, but when I talk to people about sort of things in this realm, they often say, "Oh, well, you've done so much, or you've accomplished so much. You've written a book, you've put out albums," and I know logically that those are accomplishments, and that they're not just, saying that to make me feel good or whatever. But in my mind, when I think about those things, they don't feel like accomplishments to me. They just feel like things that I did. It's like, okay, I woke up this morning, I had some water, I had some coffee. Those don't feel like accomplishments. Those were just, I just did it. Like, that's kind of how those things feel to me too, which is probably strange to hear. But, that's just what it is for me, for better or worse. So anyway, treats as a kid, pizza, still probably my favorite food. Cheeseburgers, I loved having. Ice cream, fries, Oreos. I did have a burger and fries this past week, so that was nice. Bad habits: overeating, scrolling, snacking at work. Again, working at a grocery store, it's easy to have snacks all of the time, and I want to cut back on that. Subtle bad habits: saying that I don't have time to go to the gym, or for self-care, or for rest. Not promoting my art, even if it's old. Comparing myself to others artistically and physically. Those are the main two areas in life that I compare, do the comparison thing. What use do the subtle bad habits have? I'd say saying that I have no time is offloading responsibility. If I don't have time, then I can tell people, or justify to myself, oh, I didn't do this thing, I don't have time, and nobody questions it. I think the not promoting my work and comparison, they both sort of serve as an ego protection. So it's kind of like, if there's no attempt, there's no rejection. If I don't try, if I'm not promoting my stuff, if I'm not comparing, but how does the comparing, or if I'm like, oh, what's the use? There's no reason to try. Then it's like, okay, well, I think it's also a way of, I guess, controlling the outcome, or having more control. Maybe I feel like if I don't make the attempt, I have more control over the outcome than if I do make the attempt. I want to be careful how I phrase this, because I don't want to claim it, but my brain, my mind, my thinking often works in a way that one could describe as OCD. So, an OCD, from my understanding, is all about control. So that would make sense to me, because I definitely do want control and strive for control a lot of the time. And I think that comparing myself to others also is, it's like an attempt to, maybe it's also an attempt to control in a different way. It's like I'm trying to shame myself into change and saying, oh, well, they look like this, or they are making music that's this good and you're not, what the fuck? And so I'll try to like weaponize shame against myself in order to try to motivate myself. But we all know that shame doesn't work. Logically, we know that anyway. I mean, if shame worked, I think the world would be a much different place. You look at anybody who is devout in whatever religion they have. If shame worked, I don't think there would probably be anybody who, broke the 10 Commandments, just as an example. So, yeah, that's definitely a flawed way of doing it, but, that's there. Nurturing friends, I won't say who, but I'll just say, they remind me of who I am, they remind me of what I'm capable of, they're non-judgmental, they have empathy. 5 people I admire. For some of these, I wrote more than the number, but let me just, okay, my eye was itchy and I didn't want to spend all that time. Okay. As I scratch my face. So Phonte, Black Thought, Neil Strauss, Frank Herbert, because I love Dune. It's like my favorite book series. Rhonda Patrick, Mel Robbins, Kendrick. And then other people that I admire. Maximilian Dude. Might sound silly, but, I'm a huge gamer, not as much as I was when I was younger, but huge gamer, especially fighting games, and I always love hearing about fighting game news and stuff. So I love his content, plus he just seems like a really cool guy. Vinny from Vinesauce, because he's just seems funny and ridiculous and also very down to earth. He seems to be someone who has a very balanced way of seeing things, and talks a lot about nuance, and I really respect that and admire that. And I admire the fact that these guys, they do what they love full time. Especially Vinny, because he's playing games and also making music. I know he said that music is not profitable for him, but the fact that I don't know him, so this may not be true, but it seems to me like he's making enough with all that he's doing to be able to continue making music and being in a studio, which is great. Seems like they put out almost an album a year, which is really impressive, especially because his music is really good. I really enjoy it. So, yeah. FKA Twigs, just the amount, like the sheer imagination and creativity that she has is astounding to me. Not to mention the discipline that she must have to stay in such great shape. And she's, gorgeous. And her music is awesome. Her visuals are always stunning. So, yeah, really admire her. And then I actually put down 2 adult film actors, Dana DiArmond and Jason Love. Way back, I followed Dana on MySpace. And she always seemed really funny to me and cool, like down to earth. And Jason just is built like a fucking brick shithouse. Like, the guy is in insanely good shape. And he has a bunch of tattoos. Like, he looks really cool. He's probably like one of the best looking people I've ever seen. So, part of the admiration of those two is for shallow reasons, but also I feel like in order to do the kind of work that they do, or they rather, they must really experience a certain kind of inner freedom and not care about what other people think of them, to like the highest degree. And yeah, they're just beautiful to look at. So there's that too. And they might be great people. I don't know. I said traits: humor, honesty, candor, skill, imaginative, confident, knowledgeable, attractive, healthy, sexy, boundary pushing, creativity. I know I didn't word some of these properly. Determination. And people who've passed that I wish I'd met. I wish I had met Prince B from PM Dawn. I love PM Dawn. To me, they're incredibly underrated. They, I think, have made some of the most creative records in hip-hop. Some of the most slept-on production. I mean, just the way that they put samples together, and especially their last album, because there's so many different genres on that album, but for me, none of them feel out of place. And I feel like that's such an incredibly hard thing to do, where you're dabbling in all of these different types of sounds, but they all feel like they belong in the same space together. And I mean, Prince B, he could rap, he could sing. He did both really well. His rapping was very abstract, which I know a lot of people don't like. His singing was beautiful. And he also produced, and the records that they produced, again, were just really almost like compositions, I would say. Like really complex in a way. Yeah. I always wanted to work with him. And especially, oh my God, their engineering. I don't know what they did in the studio, but if you ever go back and listen to PM Dawn's music, the way that their songs are mixed it's next level. Like, anybody who knows anything about song mixing and engineering, listen to that shit. It's incredible. And I'm so upset that I will never get to be in the studio with him and never find out what his process was for anything, really, let alone the mixing. But the mixing on those albums, on those songs, are just incredible. They're not compressing and squashing everything to the point where, you know, like the standard is today. It's, yeah, it's just phenomenal. Like, it still blows my mind. So, yeah, it's a huge bummer that I'll never meet him. George Lowe, he was the voice of Space Ghost, rest in peace. Space Ghost Coast to Coast is quite possibly my favorite show of all time. And he was Space Ghost. Like, I can't imagine Space Ghost with any other voice. He just really brought that character to life. So I thought it would have been cool to meet him. Dilla, I mean, what's been said about Dilla, or what hasn't been said about Dilla at this point, rather. Just, you know, a master, one of a kind. Frank Herbert, again, because I love Dune and I'm a writer. Robin Williams. It just seemed like he just seemed like a good guy. Like a genuinely good human being. And not to mention, apparently he was a drip lord. I had no idea until recently, but apparently his fashion game was ridiculous. Yeah, he loved Legend of Zelda as well, which is really cool. But he just always seemed like a cool guy. So I thought he would have been nice to meet. And then people I'd like to hang with in the afterlife. I mean, Buddha, Jesus, people like that. Everyone else was just friends or family who've passed. Especially Oma, my grandma. So, you know, and they all have, I'd say, similar traits to the traits I mentioned earlier, but kindness, compassion, I think also seem to be traits that are evident in some of those people. So, anyway, that's my recap for week 3, going into week 4. So, hope you're doing well. Stay safe, stay healthy, and thanks for watching.